Have you ever heard someone say, "The devil made me do it"? Or met a person who can't let go of their negative and destructive feelings? This person might be under the possession of a daimon. The word daimon is Greek, to divide or distribute destinies. The daimon is the energy or being in the universe that gives us our fate. The Romans took up the term, which became the source of our English derivative, demon. But note that, in the original meaning, and the sense in which Jung used it, daimon is not the negative thing we associate with demons. As Jung used the term, daimon referred to something alien from the unconscious, an archetype or numinous imperative which from ancient times has been accorded a far higher authority than the human intellect. As an archetype, the daimon is universal, something experienced in all peoples and cultures. Among indigenous tribes, it shows up as a primitive power concept. As an autonomous psychic content, the daimon is a force as real as hunger and the fear of death. Because it is autonomous, it behaves within us like a god, making demands of us and acting with authority. The poet and potter M.C. Richards describes the experience of the daimon well when she says, "There lives a creative being inside all of us, and we must get out of its way, for it will give us no peace unless we do." Beside Jung, multiple figures in history have acknowledged being in the grip of a daimon. The Greek philosopher Socrates, the German poet Goethe, and the French ruler Napoleon. When we say the daimon is autonomous, we mean that it is not under the control of the ego consciousness. It is superior to our ordinary consciousness, and can possess us without our conscious awareness. Its expression cannot be consciously willed, and the more our unconscious is split off from consciousness, the larger and more powerful the daimon is. The daimon shows up in life as certain feeling states, with a release of effect. That is, we feel something, usually something powerful, something with numinosity and energy that cannot be gainsaid. It can seem like we are being taken over, because the level of intensity and energy exceeds normal human limits. When we are in its grip, the daimon will make us feel like we are caught up in a force or process that is carrying us along. And so, it requires courage to deal with, because we don't fully understand this force, or know where we are being carried, or what we are being led to undertake. Nor do we often recognize this force as something that is our own. The negative side of the daimon explains the English derivation demon. That within us that forces us to impose suffering on ourselves. The devil made me do it are terms for the negative side of the daimon, which will drive us into untrodden regions, and create conflicts between our outer life and inner demands. When the daimon shows up, it often seems unwelcome and intrusive, a source of discomfort, something to be endured. If we could, we would ignore it, but it is ineluctable, i.e., it is that which must be obeyed. On the path to individuation is the process of transforming the daimon from an uncontrolled force of nature into a power that is yours to command, as Jung put it. Part of becoming awake is getting wise to what is going on inside. When we start to look within, we discover our inner city, that host of energies that lives within us. Some of them, like the daimon, are autonomous, possessed of an energy that transcends our conscious drives, needs and desires, beyond what our ego can control or direct. With time, conscious effort and attention, we can get to know the daimon, come to feel more kindly disposed towards it, and thus draw upon its benefits. In 1914, Jung wrote this after facing his inner god using active imagination, his inner god who had become weak by poison. I wandered toward the south, and found the unbearable heat of solitude with myself. I wandered toward the north, and found the cold death from which all the world dies. I withdrew to my western land, where the men are sick, in knowing and doing, and I began to suffer from the sun's empty darkness. In Egyptian mythology, the western lands, the western ban of the Nile, were the land of the dead. I threw everything from me, and wandered toward the east, where the light rises daily. I went to the east like a child. I did not ask, I simply waited. I see an enormous man approach, his almond-shaped eyes look at me astonished. Horror takes hold of me. This is Izjabir, the mighty, the bull man. He stands and looks at me. His face speaks of consuming inner fear, and his hands and knees tremble, Izjabir, the powerful bull trembling.
Miserable worm, where did you suckle on this poison?
O Isabur, most powerful one, what you call poison is science. In our country we are nurtured on it from youth, and that may be one reason why we haven't properly flourished and remained so dwarfish. When I see you, however, it seems to me as if we are all somewhat poisoned.
No stronger being has ever cut me down, no monster has ever resisted my strength. But your poison, worm, which you have placed in my way has lamed me to the marrow.
O Isabur, great and pitiable one, had I known that my knowledge could cut you down, I would have held my tongue, but I wanted to speak the truth.
You call poison truth. Is poison truth? Or is truth poison? Do not our astrologers and priests also speak the truth? And yet theirs does not act like poison.
My words, O most powerful one, are poor and have no magical power.
No matter. Speak.
I don't doubt that your priests speak the truth. It's certainly a truth, only it runs contrary to our truth.
Are there then two sorts of truth?
It seems to me to be so. Our truth is that which comes to us from the knowledge of outer things. The truth of your priests is that which comes to you from inner things.
That was a salutary word.
But this is the least of it. We can also fly with the help of useful machines.
Who then taught you such arts?
In the course of the centuries, men have made many discoveries through precise observation and the science of outer things.
But this science is the awful magic that has lamed me. How can it be that you are still alive even though you drink from this poison every day?
We've grown accustomed to this over time, because men get used to everything. But we're still somewhat lamed. On the other hand, this science also has great advantages, as you've seen. What we've lost in terms of force, we've rediscovered many times through mastering the force of nature.
Is it not pathetic to be so wounded? For my part, I draw my own force from the force of nature.
Now you perhaps see that we had no choice. We had to swallow the poison of science. Otherwise we would have met the same fate as you have. We'd be completely lamed if we encountered it unsuspecting and unprepared. This poison is so insurmountably strong that everyone, even the strongest, and even the eternal gods, perish because of it. If our life is dear to us, we prefer to sacrifice a piece of our life force, rather than abandon ourselves to certain death.
Have you no gods anymore?
No, words are all we have.
We do not see the gods either, and yet we believe that they exist. We recognize their workings in natural events.
Science has taken from us the capacity of belief. This was a shortened segment from the Red Book. In conclusion, a warning from Jung's inner God, also called daimon, that there are two truths in life: science, the outer truth, and the spirit, the inner truth. Balance is needed between the two, like everything in life. Neglecting the inner truth makes you weak, losing your potential in life, open to manipulation by others, or open to possession by the daimon. The daimon lacks the human side, therefore it is not concerned with human morals, values or social behaviors, pushing its own agenda on the world, at the cost of humanity. We see this effect upon the Western world today. Humans have lost their inner belief in themselves, hiding from life itself, resorting to cowardly short-term pleasures at the cost of one's soul. The poison of nihilism.